I'll jump into, again, in the interest of time, I'll jump into the topic straight away. But before that, thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Tuteja, I know you are under time pressure, so we'll try and wrap this up also very quickly. Uh, Sustainability is the need of the hour. And, if you are a Delhiite or from NCR, you would have realized that over the last 2 weeks, okay, we're totally destroying the planet. Uh, there's no need to even give a preamble to this session. The good thing is several corporates are today actually acting on sustainability. The not so good thing is that, there would be less than 500 companies having dedicated sustainability officers. Okay, and I think it's a huge need right now that we leave a good planet to the next generation. My head designer, chief designer, whatever he's called, art director, or chief art director, was telling me that he recently read that it took 4 billion years for this planet to be created and take this shape, and the last 100 have been most destructive for the planet. Same day I read an article, this is about 2-3 days ago, that there's not an article, a prediction. I think it was a Baba Vanga or one of these other, old astrologer predictions, that end of 21st century could be the end of the world. Societies won't exist, and that's because we're killing the planet. So there are companies who are doing stuff, and I think the need of the hour is to, just accelerate the pace. So, just wanted to start with one question across everyone. What is the key let's start with you. So what is the key sustainability practice that y'all have implemented at your organization? What have been the benefits? I must tell you, one panelist refused to come because this session was called ROI on sustainability. Okay, so I think that was my error because I'd created that session, and it just might be too early to ask about return. The returns would be longer term, which our future generations would see. But so what are the practices or what's the key practice that you'll have implemented?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hoshi, and honored to be here along with my co-panelists. Okay, the question is very pointed. You have skipped the question on ROI on sustainability.
But I have a question on ROI. Yeah, I'll come to it later.
Fine. See, I represent one of the India's hardest hard-to-abate sectors, that is the stainless steel sector. So even with the stainless steel and in the steel sector, we feel that sustainability is not a burden. Sustainability has to happen. It's an enabling. It's an enabling for you operationally, ecologically, and financially. And we have seen the benefits coming right away. There are some upfront costs. There are certain cost barriers, certain regulatory challenges, certain regulatory uncertainties that binds people to take decisions and not to foresee any ROI. But what we saw across our value chain when we embarked on the sustainability journey, that we saw the values coming in down the line in several years, and we are getting reaping the benefits already. And the sustainability, as you see, it already started with the Indian government pushing us into complying several things which actually built us into moving into the sustainability. Sustainability could be a new buzzword for many of us, but we had seen Indian industry being subjected to several compliances like PAT, RPO, and several things we had already seen, and which had enabled us to think in long term. So when we saw the RPO, we started thinking on the investment in renewable energy, which we did. That is one part we had made an investment, and we are reaping benefits. There are investments we made in green hydrogen. There are investments we made in digitalization. And these all are enabling for us operationally as well as financially. I'll pause this question as of now for you will maybe ask the ROI.
I will come to
I will give that figures later.
Sure.
Okay, I'll hand you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalyan. So like steel, I represent a cement company. So through manufacturing process, this is also an energy guzzler. So one of the key initiatives for us was to reduce the carbon emissions and reduce the fossil fuel consumption. So the way we reduced that was 2-3 initiatives. One was using the waste heat energy systems, using renewable energy like solar power, etc. And then using alternate fuels, so replacing fossil fuel by waste of any industry. Third was using more of the blended cement. So instead of using selling more of OPC, which uses practically 95% clinker, which is consuming a lot of energy. So we use and sell PPC, which has a similar strength, but uses 30% to about 65% of waste of other industries like fly ash or slag. So these initiatives have helped us to reduce the cost, straight away add to the bottom line. In fact, the tagline in the organization is that green is profitable and sustainable. So it adds to the bottom line as well as to the goal of the organization to be sustainable. Thank you.
Mr. Seth. Mr. Singh, sorry.
Good morning, everyone. I think unlike my peers, I'm representing one of the industries which is not an energy guzzler. So I'll just take probably a few steps back. At Havells, sustainability is not a new phenomenon. In fact, it has been on a topmost agenda. So we first published a sustainability report way back in 2012. That is almost a decade back. And we have been reporting on Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3 emissions since 2012. In fact, from a practices perspective, probably like you mentioned that you should talk about 2 or 3 practices, but I think I would rather talk about that more than the practices is the mindset actually which needed to change from a sustainability standpoint, which I really appreciate. A lot of companies are now doing that, but I think Havells, it almost happened a decade back. So that's the reason we first set up a renewable plant almost in 2016. And this is one of our targets which we have taken, which has come in the public domain as well. It's very important to integrate the strategy and the sustainability initiative. I think this is what our mantra has been since almost 10 years now. Now we are taking it to the next level. In this year, we have sort of launched a ESG 2.0 framework, which will decide this decade of action, which we have taken in the areas of emission management, water management, energy management. So we've kind of quantified the targets that we have taken, because it's very easy to give motherhood statements that we will improve our productivity, we will improve our sustainability. I think ROI and sustainability is a very apt topic, I would say, if you are measuring it. Because if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. That's the reason why quantification of the targets is very important, which as Havells we've taken.
Good. I'm sitting with very evolved sustainability users. I actually didn't know your practices. The other organization who said, we can't come, we don't want to discuss this topic at all, is also an evolved organization, but I'm a little surprised after hearing what you know. Let's talk about ROI. Okay, my question actually was, is it time to measure ROI after, having a chat with that particular sustainability officer? But I want to ask you about ROI. Where does it stand at Jindal? And, how are you measuring it? I think all 3 of you are measuring ROI right now. So, let's kind of hear.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. So, you see, the sustainability, as I already told, it's an enabling feature. It's not a disabling or it's not a burden on the business anymore. If you have to sustain long term, that's financially, ecologically, and operationally, sustainability is the only solution. Means sustainability is in a way how you build your businesses to be sustainable in the long term in terms of energy security, in terms of energy transition, in terms of operational efficiency, in terms of reduced energy consumption, reduced wastages, and waste heat recovery and several things put together. So we had seen the potential in all these and we had started investing. We had invested in renewable energy. We signed PPAs for about 100 megawatts already, and on stream to sign up another 200 more. So we'll have a 300 megawatt renewable energy around the clock hybrid and renewable energy PPAs. We also have on-site solars that is totaling up to 38 megawatts on-site floating as well as rooftops. We are using our water reservoir space to conserve water from evaporation as well as to generate electricity through floating solar. Besides that, we have invested in waste heat recovery. We have invested in reducing energy consumption. And to give you a estimate of the figure, we invested around, let's say, 783 crores into these. These were upfront costs. Some came through our own capex, and some came through captive investment like the renewable energy. But you'll be surprised to know the tune at which we are reducing the carbon. With 783 crores investment, we saw potential. I'm able to reduce about 1.48 million tons of CO2 per year with these investments put together, with these projects, decarbonization projects put together. And the ROI that is estimated is about 1,500 crore per year of saving. So where does it bring us? It's bringing me the carbon abatement, it's bringing me the financial savings, and that is what is sustainability. You are able to sustain your business by complying to ESG metrics, by complying to international norms in the carbon dioxide emissions, by complying to Indian norms, and also reaping benefits in terms of saving. So where we are talking about sustainability is to reduce your own wastages, reduce wasting energy, elimination of waste, improving process efficiency, using digitalization and several things to have a decision support system instead of transactional reporting system. I think we were the first in steel industry to implement SAP BW for HANA. And presently, I'm also discussing with the SAP team for ESG, sustainability solutions. So these all will bring in transparency and a robust framework where I can measure every target, every performance in ESG, and also integrate my ESG framework into my business activities and seamlessly integrate into the business. So ESG goals has to integrate with my business as usual. It cannot be a standalone activity. It has to integrate with the BAU so that it becomes a part and parcel of my business activities. So I think that answers your question, Mr.
Thank you. Mr. Tuteja.
Yeah, now in the Dalmia, I think similarly as he explained, on the solar energy, we do the ROI computation, but there are multiple dimensions. You can do CapEx mode also, you can do OpEx mode also. In OpEx mode, somebody else puts up the capacity and you use it as a captive user, putting your equity, which is just about 8% of the total project cost. So you do incremental analysis in terms of how much return is there on the CapEx mode, and what is the incremental investment you need to do in CapEx versus OpEx, and what is the incremental return on the incremental investment. So most of the scenarios we are noticing that of late, OpEx mode is coming out cheaper compared to CapEx mode. That is why this entire developer industry is flourishing. They are putting more and more investment. Same way when you do the WHRS or the waste heat recovery systems, you see what is the benefit in terms of the fuel cost saving. And fuel cost is very volatile. So depending on when the cycle is peak, you can't take that time's fuel cost to work out the savings. Otherwise, last year, every project will have a 2-year payback. So you normally take 3 years average and normative cost for building in these things. And not typically see that normally 4 to 5 years paybacks will come on this WHRS or this solar power, etc. And solar power, we also use the benchmark of or yardstick of levelized cost of energy, which is putting the depreciation and interest also into cost of energy. Versus when I purchase versus when I own my own renewable energy setups. And besides that, when we are evaluating, let's say, electrical vehicles, so there also we see that how much turnaround we can have, how much is the saving vis-a-vis conventional fleet, and does it pay back for the higher cost of the capex on the electrical vehicles. So there also we are noticing that as the costs start coming down, there will be more and more ROIs coming, and this usage of electric vehicles will increase.
Thank you. Mr. Singh.
So before I answer this question, I mean, let me give you a thought perspective. Maybe a decade back or say 2 decades back, if any company would have given us an option, let's say, for example, buying a normal drink and vis-a-vis a healthy drink, how many of us were willing to pay a premium for a healthy drink? I think there would be very limited people in case the differential was significant. But now, as we stand today, I think a lot of people, since they become health conscious, they would not mind paying a premium even for a healthy drink. I think I sincerely believe maybe it's just a matter of maybe a few years down the line where the regulations will come in, where all the companies will have to talk about the carbon emissions of each product which they are generating. And this will actually drive the younger generations for buying that product. In fact, recently McKinsey conducted a survey among the younger, so as to call millennials, and almost two-thirds were willing to buy a product and pay a premium if it is a more of a health, environment conscious product. So this is what is changing. Coming back to your question, I think from a company standpoint, I think they need to identify what the true north of that company is. So by true north, I mean exactly what is deriving, what will derive them, their strategy, say 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. You can be a conformist, you can be a pragmatist, you can be a strategist, or you can be an idealist. So by idealist, I mean that ESG is deriving everything of your business strategy. So I think, I mean, to your earlier comment when you mentioned that probably you made an error of judgment, I think I probably would disagree with you, because I think this is actually a correct topic, because as finance guys, since one of the interfaces is risk management as well, I think it's very important that whatever thing we are starting from a project standpoint, I think we need to measure it. And if we do not measure the ROI, I don't think so we'll go anywhere. So that's the reason why, like as I was mentioning earlier, whatever projects we have taken, we have identified, we've classified that into a short term, medium term, or a long term, and we are measuring the ROI against it. Unlike other financial matrices where it is only tangible, in case of sustainability, there would be intangible measures as well. For example, in sustainability, the reputation risk is also there, the brand risk is also there, the customer loyalty risk is also there. So I think this is what will drive the ROI in sustainability, and this is exactly what we are doing. In fact, so I think there will be a lot of companies, listed companies, people over there, and I think most of them will resonate that enterprise risk management is a mandatory requirement for listed companies. So in our company, we have integrated, and we are, I think, one of the first few companies where we integrated the ERM process, which is the risk management process, with the ESG process. So all the strategic risks, 70 to 80% have a ESG element attached to it. And this is how we integrated the strategy with the ESG interfaces. And this is what we are presenting at the board level as well, and which probably will put added pressure on us, because it will enable us to probably not even answer to the management, but to the board as well from a sustainability standpoint.
Thank you. So, error of judgment, I yet feel, because, but I'm very happy to see, this is the first time I'm doing a panel or speaking to people who are so committed to sustainability, who are able to talk numbers. What I said about one panelist not coming on stage from a large company is not in isolation. I've done other panels in the past. This is not a plug for us, but on World Sustainability Day, which was I think about 10 days ago, we launched BW Sustainable World, and the decision was, will it make money? We said, we are doing the right thing. Forget whether it makes money or not. Let's do it. Everything can't kind of make money. And I'm actually thinking of starting a column on in that particular brand of ours on ROI on sustainability, and we will be in touch with you within the next week. I think a week after Diwali. I had typical questions, but I'm going to kind of change them. Okay. I don't know how, and this is not any judgment on anyone, but some people are very committed, some people are just getting there. Until now, we saw it as a fad, okay? First time I'm seeing, 3 people extremely committed. We did a similar event in Bombay some time ago where, again, they weren't even willing to talk about ROI. They came on the panel. What's your advice, as the last question, all 3 of you, on sustainability to this audience? How do they view it? Where should the journey start? You spoke about, typically it has to be measurable, but what would be your parting remarks on this subject to corporate India?
Probably I'll take a step back. I think all of us, I think ESG is a fad these days, and I think, in fact, I don't know how many of you are aware that the first time ESG term was coined was way back in 2006 at a United Nations conference. And I think so everything is being governed through the Paris Agreement, which came in 2016, which talks about limiting the temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius. I think my advice to all the people will be that, I don't know how many of you have read that report, but it's a very scary report. So if we don't act on sustainability right now, so by 2100, I think 60 to 70%, in case the temperature increasing the way it is,
continues to rise.
almost 60 to 70% of the plant and animals will not be there, which will have a drastic impact on the ecosystem. And this is just 50, 70 years down the line. So I think it should not be a case one company is doing it, the other company is not doing it, because if all of us do not work on this matter, it should be a win-win for all. And if we do not act on this this is a question of existence actually. And that is the reason why if you talk about my company, so this is the messaging that I'm giving to all these specific stakeholders, that it's not the question about now profitability, it's not the question about from a CSR standpoint, it's now the question about existence. Because I'm very sure if we don't limit our what harm we are giving to the environment, I think in 70 years there'll be nothing left for our future generations.
Which is what I mentioned. The Baba Vanga prediction was society will not exist the way it is because of the environment by the end of the century. Mr. Tuteja, your advice.
Yeah, I'll recommend that try to see some connect of the sustainability objectives to your business strategy or business goals. Because the moment you're able to link that and establish a ROI case, the commitment of the top management, priority, focus, support, everything will come. So in an organization like we are an energy guzzler, so reducing the carbon footprint was a key priority. And when we measured, we saw that we are amongst already leaders in this. I'll just put a context. Global average of CO2 emission per ton of cement, global average is 600 kg. Indian average is 550 kg. We are already at 460 kg amongst the leaders in globally as well as in India. And as I explained, that all these initiatives are helping us to reduce the cost of production significantly. When we use the blended cement, we reduce the clinker consumption, we reduce the limestone consumption. So limestone is a critical resource for cement. And all the new limestone mines are coming at a significant premium to the auction price. So cost of production is increasing. The moment we increase, let's say, the blended cement, we reduce the dependence of limestone and we increase the capacity of the cement plants. ROI improves. There are huge improvements and linkages you can easily establish because of the sustainability. So that is the only survival. And time is not far when you'll have the implication of carbon credits or the carbon tax abroad. So all these will have additional penalties for energy guzzlers like industries like us. Although it will be uniformly applicable to all the players, but players who will be better off in the industry will have a competitive advantage. So this has a huge impact. Let's say in our industry, we talk about once this tax comes or once this carbon credit comes, it will have an impact of 500 rupees per ton of cement, additional cost. And the margin which we today earn is 800 to 1,000 rupees per ton. So 50% of your margin getting evaporated by this carbon tax or carbon credits. So this is the kind of implication once you're able to establish management support, employee support, everything comes your way immediately.
Mr. Bhattacharjee.
Yeah, thank you. So sustainability, I would say I would recommend it in a way that it has to be a part of your business. See, we had been working on sustainability since past because we know where we stand and how we can do the savings. So in different terms, of course, in different areas, in different terms and different methodology. But now everything is coming under the sustainability umbrella. We had been doing energy saving, we had been doing energy recovery, we had been doing waste recycling, our upcycling, we had been doing waste management and recycling. So these all are part of the circular economy, which we talk about the buzzword in sustainability. The circular economy, it leads from there that you can reuse your or recycle your own waste or repurpose, recycle, reuse, recover in any possible way that you reduce your operation footprint in terms of carbon footprint, in terms of social footprint, in terms of water footprint, in terms of waste footprint. In all ways, you have to become sustainable. So you can reduce cost by working on sustainability, but it has to come with a strategy. It has to come with a long-term strategy. It cannot be a short-term strategy. It cannot be just a one-off case. It has to be well thought of, well-crafted case. I'll tell you an example. Like And in world total carbon emission, the China is 1/3. But they are aggressively moving towards the sustainability, and they have declared net zero by 2060. Indian government has declared net zero by 2070, and many of the Chinese steel industry, they have targeted 2050. So China, even though a world economic superpower as well as manufacturing superpower, still they are looking at the sustainability angle in a very in a aggressive manner. So India, now we have to see that our sustainability journey has to align with the rest of the world. Europe has imposed a CBAM in which the major components imported into Europe will see the carbon border adjustment tax going forward in 2026. So all the industries like steel, cement, fertilizer, they have to build themselves to stand by that tax and the compliances. So sustainability has two parts. One is you reduce your emission, you reduce your footprint. The other part is the ESG reporting, transparency, risk management. That is where, I mean, that's a two-part of stuff, where one is the action part and one is the transparency and the reporting part. What we talk about sustainability is like your ESG reporting, your disclosures, your governance practices. These all has to be the way of life now. So you make it more transparent, you have your disclosures, you have your stakeholders' faith in you, the financial institutions have faith in you, the international financial institutions have faith in you, you have good disclosures, you have good rating, you have access to good finance, green finance, you invest in green mechanisms, low carbon pathways, and that is how you can reap benefits in the long term. I mean, that's not a big challenge, but it's only the time-bound action plans which we have to make now. It's the time is quite shortened because if we had thought of a long time to achieve these targets, but now times have been shortened down, and Indian government, like it has already declared the CCTS carbon trading systems, and several other frameworks will come up. So we have to expedite our sustainability initiatives moving into the sustainability journey. So it is inevitable, but it's only the way how strategically you can achieve these targets soon. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very pleased and impressed with the work that you all are doing, as would be most of the, and we need to put more stories out. Like I mentioned, I will get someone to get in touch with you all a week after Diwali. But if there are any more people here in the audience who got good sustainability stories, who are willing to talk, because every time I've asked a question on ROI on sustainability, we've noticed very dodgy answers. Please come, and I'm going to be here till the end of the event. We'll take down your name. I will get our sustainability team to get in touch with you all. It's a joint effort. It's scary what's kind of happening. They're good to see corporates doing it. I wish every single human being would also kind of get into being a little conscious and help the planet live for longer. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Both the panels I did before time, so I need bonus. So
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Tuteja. I know you're out of time. So thank you.